Hello, hello, ladies.
Hey y'all.
Good evening.
Edwina, Brenna, T, Natalie. How y'all doing today?
Hi, happy hump day, everybody.
Yes.
Yes,
We're almost
midweek.
there. We are almost in.
So we on live and we have T today that is going to break this topic in, which is why we stay in toxic relationships, friendships, and more.
Yes, so that's what we're speaking about this evening. And I mean, I just came up with the topic because I'm sure all of us have dealt with the situation, whether it be relationship, friendship, whatever the case may be, where maybe we knew it wasn't healthy or we knew it wasn't good, but we decided to stay. So we're going to talk about why. What are some of the issues? What were some of the thoughts if you chose to stay? Me personally, I'll speak first. A lot of times I think as far as relationships, for me, I know something that I always battled with was like, there's so much good here, but then there's this negative. But am I gonna find this good somewhere else? You know what I'm saying? So it was like the good versus the bad, and trying to see, what I should choose. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like it's real rocky. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you, T, on that about staying for the good. I guess my biggest fear was in a bad relationship is if I leave this relationship, will I find something better or will I be getting something worse? It's like the unknown you don't know. So you stay in it hoping that things get better. Um, well, for me, I said that things were going to get better for the fear of not knowing if I leave the relationship, will I find somebody to make me happy or to love me, or will I be in a worse situation than what I'm already in?
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about too, Edwina.
The conversation about toxic relationships and toxic friendships, and we've done the no new friends and all of that. I mean, it seems to me like this is something kind of recent, like talking about toxicity in the relationship and friendship aspect, just in the last couple of years. Like, I feel like growing up, um, I didn't know what a toxic relationship was. Nobody ever expressed the definition of what that meant or what it looked like or what it said. And a lot of people in my family were like, well, we don't get divorced, we just whatever, we live separate lives. So they'll stay in a toxic environment just to say that, hey, we're not divorced, but you willing to stay in a miserable relationship, you're willing to stay in a miserable marriage. So I think it's important that we recognize the signs and symptoms and red flags, if you will, of all things that are toxic. And it's whether it's with our significant other, our spouse, or someone that was a friend. Because we've all been in situations, I'm sure we had those friends that, always need you for something. But when the tables are turned and you need a little bit of support or you want that encouragement for whatever it is that you're doing, you never get it. Like, they disappear, they're never around, and what have you. So, yes, let's talk about toxic.
So, what are some of the things that you all would consider toxic in a relationship?
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with people that are obviously people that are very passive aggressive, super smart ass comments that aren't just you being slick with your mouth, but you're actually being verbally abusive, you're actually being negative, you're actually putting people down, and it's like you never have anything good to say about that person. And if there is anything that's good about that person, then the other person is taking credit for your successes. You're not allowed to own when you're, shining brightly by yourself.
That's crazy because nowadays I feel like you said, it's become a lot more popularized to like know all of the different ways like that people are trying to be toxic. And I don't know if it was the psychiatrist that figured this out and psychologists, or if it was the women that like got to the bottom of it. But I read a lot on Twitter. So I always see it, like, especially lately where they're doing like the red flags. They're like, this is a red flag, this is a red flag, like run. So I definitely would say controlling people, um, people that have like possessive natures about them, that's definitely like, creates toxic relationships. But I feel like for the most part, a lot of people stay in toxic relationships because they just feel like they don't have anybody else, or they're just like afraid of change. And, they think, okay, wow, am I going to be, more receptive to being around these type of friends or these types of friends, or should I just stay with my friends that I have now because I'm like comfortable with it? So I feel like that's the main reason why people stay in toxic relationships, is because they are like afraid of change, and it's just like it's obviously unhealthy. So I would say to somebody that's going through that, just to it's better to be alone than to be around people that are more going to be more hurtful to, being friends with.
I
So,
agree with that.
so I know, like Nat, you said it's better to be alone. I really feel like people have a problem with it, though. I also think that's another reason that a lot of people, hell, I can't even say probably me in the past. That's not the reason as well. Do you think we can say all day like, oh, I'm fine with being by myself. I think that's easier said than done. Until you've actually done it and been able to find peace with yourself, you can say that all day long. But most people want to, of course, have someone.
Um, I can speak on that, T. It's not easy being alone. But I think when you go through the motions of finding yourself, I'm gonna say that first, really finding yourself. And what I mean by finding yourself is self love, self care, self respect. You can't expect somebody to respect you if you don't respect yourself first. You can expect somebody to take you on a nice date if you can't take yourself on a date first. We expect a lot in relationships, but we have to have that. Um, how can I put that? We need to expect it for ourselves first. You see what I mean? Um,
Facts.
so, huh?
I said facts.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is facts, Brenda. And I had to realize that in myself because I used to say, "Oh, I could be by myself. I can be an independent woman and do this." It hurts.
Right.
I'm gonna
Exactly,
say it.
Dwayne.
It hurts when you're sitting there and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're used to having somebody hold you from the back and playing footsies with, and it hits you emotionally that I'm by myself. But you have to find yourself first, because when I promise you, when you find self-love and loving yourself first, it takes you to a whole nother level. You can have those nights where it's like, oh, I'm okay being by myself. Even when people want to call and come over, no, no, I'm good. I can do it because I found myself first.
No, I absolutely agree with you, Edwina. I agree with it, but I was just saying, as well, it takes you to get to a place of being able to say that, because a lot of people speak it. We talk a lot of shit,
Absolutely.
but you know what I'm saying? Like that's,
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Let's call it what it is. That's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah,
People want to be with
but
somebody.
you're right, T. We can, like I said, we can say it all day, but we have to put the work in. Like
Right.
at first, I would say it all day. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. But deep down inside, I was like, man, I don't want to. I don't want
Correct.
to be by
Yeah.
myself. I don't want to start over. I don't want to be in my
Mhm.
30s, have to look for another person that could be
Right.
trifling other than the one I have. I
Right,
might as
that
well
is
stick with
true.
10. You see, it's a fear of getting out your comfort zone of who you already been with. Because you may actually get out your
Mhm.
comfort zone and find an amazing man that treats you 10 times better than your ex did.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You see?
And I definitely, Edwina, Natalie, Dominique, and T, I definitely feel like, when you reach this stage in your realization of yourself and actually who you are, um you really start to begin to understand your worth. And then you realize, especially now, like I said previously, now that there's so much um, conversation and so much talk about self love and self care and putting and being okay with taking yourself on a date and going on a vacation and doing things for yourself, treating yourself right. You set the bar high, you set the expectations high. But if you are one of those people that doesn't come from the experience of seeing what a healthy relationship looks like and what healthy friendships look like friends shouldn't be jealous over one another's successes. Friends shouldn't be jealous if somebody is in a relationship that's going well versus one that's up and down and all over the place. And your real friends are really going to root for you. But the toxic friends are the ones, to me, and my description are, they're the ones that'll smile in your face and be like, hey girl, and they might comment on your posts and this, that, and whatever. But when it comes to the nuts and bolts of the whole situation, it's like, when you think about it, they're not really there for you in the times that matter. And I'm not saying that you can't make it and you can't go through things by yourself, but real friends are the ones that know, mm, Brenda seemed a little bit like, something is happening with her. Let me check on her and see how she's doing. And they pick up the phone and they call you, or they send you a text and, hey, I'm checking on you, or whatever. But the toxic friends don't do that because they don't give a shit. They actually quite glad that you in a struggle at the moment and whatever. I mean, it's just, you you're told when you're young, at least I was, because I used to hang with a lot of people. And my circle got smaller, and it got smaller by process of elimination, by changing my actual state that I was living in. But see, I have friends from elementary school, middle school, high school, that we visit one another. We schedule FaceTime when we can't, get together physically in person. One of my friends from school came out and spent, like a long weekend here with me. And then I go up and see her and a couple of others. And we always do a dinner and something like that. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that versus the 12 girls that I was rolling out to the clubs with when I was, in school and things like that. So you just, you have to understand, and I use this a lot, like, be kind to yourself, because when you don't know, you just don't know. But when you do know, then you're able to do better. You're able to set those boundaries, and you're able to block a lot of that toxicity. You're like, I'm not with the BS, and you can stand firm on that and be comfortable. But of course, nobody wants to be alone. And yeah, it's hard, but you're worth more than continuing to go through the things that you've gone through that are negative.
I'm gonna take it a little bit deeper. I like what everyone had to say, of course. But I am gonna get a little deeper with this one. I believe in order to create change, we must make a choice. I heard Natalie talk about control. That is a toxic trait for me. Some people, they just do not know how to deal with it in relationships, um, especially when they're being controlled. But my thing is, I would like to say that I believe it could also be from a pattern that actually repeats itself from childhood. Because a lot of people, they kind of do what was done in their childhood. So, like for example, if you were controlled by your parents, let's say, then to me, you would attract a controlling partner. You see what I'm saying?
So can I speak on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So now you know me being me,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna speak real. So I get that. And as Brenna was speaking, I was also thinking it. So it actually is great that you even hit on that. So we're talking about being in a toxic relationship. To me, now you're correct, but that would be an excuse for that person. And let me explain why I say that. Sometimes, as far as why you choose to be in a relationship, is you don't want to accept the person for who they are. I feel like a lot of times we don't accept people where they are in life. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to see the better. We want to see the good. We want to see, so much more, and we get comfortable with where we are that, what I'm saying, we just get into a pattern. You're now in
Oh
the
no,
pattern. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
definitely not an excuse. It's just so people can understand more of where it could actually come from. Because
No.
at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, what's wrong? What's going on? Why am I repeating the same patterns? Why do
Oh, no. Okay. 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 No, 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 no. Right, Dominique. Okay. No. So I had it flipped then. I thought you was something. No, as far
no.
as that, no, no, no. You absolutely were. That's kind of what I'm saying too. You definitely have to, evaluate you. So that's what I was saying as well. As far as, a lot of times we don't want to see, what I'm saying, what's right there in the mirror. We want to,
Right.
what I'm saying, go with it. You just going with it. But even though this person has showed you their pattern, time after time after time after time after
Exactly.
time, they've showed you this pattern. At some point you got to say this is who they are, and then you choose to say I'm gonna fuck with them, or I'm saying hell no. I'm saying, like, you can't be a part of my life. But that's when you have to reach that decision. But you have to first see it's a pattern, it's a trend. I'm saying, and this is who this person is.
You
You
know
can't
what,
change
T?
them.
You know what, T? We and you're and I'm gonna say the same thing what you and Dominique saying. We see patterns, and
Mhm.
honestly, we see red flags. I'm gonna say in the first 6 months of
Yes.
just interacting with somebody, friendships or even relationships. You'll see at least one red flag, and we brush it off, thinking, "Oh, it's just
Yep.
nothing." But they're showing you who they are. You see what I mean? But when you get comfortable um, with that person, they really show you red flags. And I'm not trying to steer away from the topic, but I feel like a lot of women and men that has been hurt by a toxic person, it causes insecurities in them because um, when they've been through so much with that person and the lying and I'm gonna say cheating and the abuse and all of the above you can think of in a toxic relationship, and you still trying to fight for the relationship to try to make it work. When you come to the decision to leave the relationship, you're bruised, you feel abandoned, you feel lonely, you feel like I gave 110% in this relationship and this person just put me to the side like trash. So you're insecure. You see what I mean? And then they're thinking you're toxic because you're
Yep.
lashing out of them
Right.
and you're
Yep.
expressing
Yep.
yourself to them. It's like it amazes
Yeah.
me how people can just
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z to you. And when you explode, it's like, oh my God, she crazy? You see? And it's like, no, you have physically, mentally, emotionally abused me inside and out. And I have taken it behind the scenes. And when I finally just have a mental breakdown, because it can mentally wear on you, it's like, see, guys, she's crazy. I told you all along, she's crazy. But it's not the case. You see? So that's why it's important for all of us, men and women, because men can be in bad relationships as well. If you see the red signs in the beginning and a person is showing you their true colors and they're telling you, excuse my language, they're asshole, take their word for it and run. Don't stick around. Run.
You got three choices. You can either stay the same, change, or leave.
Exactly, Dominique. And 95% of the time, when you met that person that way, they're going to stay the same because
Right.
that's how you met them. You can't expect a person to change for you. They have to want to change for themselves.
That's correct. They're going to have to change for themselves. Now, that is correct. I mean, they're
Yeah,
going
you're
to have to look
right.
within and change themselves. Yes.
So let me ask you guys, when I know you brought up insecurities, do you think that's a part of staying in the toxic relationship is having insecurities, maybe as far as how you feel about yourself,
Of course. Of
No, I
course.
don't think so. I don't.
Well, for me, I'm going to speak as me. Yes, because if you're in a relationship and a guy is telling you, if you leave me, nobody not going to want you, that's making you feel insecure because in the back of your mind,
Mhm.
it's like, man, I already invested this many years in this relationship. You're right. Nobody's not going to want me. I gained weight. I'm looking a certain way.
Mhm.
It's insecurities because they already fed that into your mind. Nobody's going to want you. You see? This is for me.
I fed into my mind, someone is going to want me.
Well, Dominic, I'm going to say at the beginning of any breakup, for me, that's how I felt.
Right.
Because you go through the emotions in a breakup. You just, for me, I don't bounce back. I'm a Scorpio. I'm very emotional. We're loyal to the end, and I don't believe in breakups, divorces, anything like that. I will stick with you to the end. Um, but I'm speaking for me, what I've been
I'm
through and
your
how I
friend
felt.
till the end. Your friend till the end. Okay, Jackie.
Oh my God. I thought that was a child.
Huh?
I was like, oh my God.
No, that's a Brenda. She sounded like
That was
Chucky
a
on
child. I
in
was
the
like,
live
what baby
stream.
was that?
I
She's
cannot.
talking about I'm your friend till the end, and I'm like,
I'm
well,
serious. Look, I'm
that's
like
Mr.
Natalie.
Gables'
You know when
line,
Natalie
and we
says,
know
"Oh,
how he
when you're with
ended
me, you're
up.
with me." I'm like Natalie. You're with
That's
me. You're
true.
with me. It's
That's
no in
true. Your
between.
birthday's coming up, Edwina.
It is. Can you
Yes.
believe it? November the 21st.
Scorpio.
Hey.
Scorpio. I'm happy. I'm just grateful and thankful that I made it another year.
Yes. That y'all got a point though, because it's like when you don't, when you're young and you're easily impressionable, it's easy to just, be stuck and get insecure, especially when you care about somebody. It's like, damn, they stepping out, or oh, they doing this, or oh, they saying this about me, or oh, they acting jealous. Because I've definitely seen relationships where the guy is jealous of the female, and it's just what what is really going through your head as a man. So it's easy to be close to somebody and then just be so easily impressionable and get insecure and feel like you want to stay. But the more and more you learn yourself and you're okay with just being alone, it's like, okay, well, somebody's going to want me, like Dominic said. So if it's not now, it's going to be later, it's going to be eventually. But at the end of the day, you have to learn how to just, you self-love, put yourself first sometimes, and just kind of keep it pushing, because being in toxic relationships, it only makes your trauma worse. If you keep getting in back to back relationships that are similar, it's like a pattern, it's like what you're used to. So stepping out on a limb, it's not always easy, but it's what's best for you at the end of the day.
And now that you
And
mentioned that, Matt, how would you say it's time to go? Like, when would it be time to go?
I
When
would say when you're mentally and physically drained.
Yeah,
That's
because
what I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
saying.
when you've reached your ceiling and know that you've had enough, then definitely that's time, and only you know when you've actually had enough.
that's
I read
true.
this story, and it was on I think it's like blackgirlstherapy.com or something like that, and it told the story about these two friends who every day they would go for their walk, together and kind of talk and, whatever. And the moral of the story was like every day on the walk, the woman was always complaining about how miserable she was in her marriage. And her friend just like stopped her and said, "I just want you to know that this has been the topic of a conversation like every day for a year. What are you going to do?" And at the end of the day, the woman made the decision to finally, end the relationship and to end the marriage. But also going back to something that Natalie was saying, in this industry, in this business, anything to do with entertainment or music and promo and radio and all that kind of stuff, it's really challenging when you're in a relationship because you are exposed to so many people, and some dudes don't understand that just because X, Y, and Z comes into the studio today, that doesn't mean that I'm like doing him in the in the supply closet. Like that doesn't mean that, oh, now I want to get with this dude. A lot of dudes have a hard time with their women, going out and hosting and, having sessions in the studio. And even when there's other people present, there's still sometimes that there's this jealousy. And I don't know where it comes from. I never understood how a man could be jealous of a woman, but it exists.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
you're right, Brenna. And I was going to piggyback on what we were talking about earlier. Um, I think most of us we stay around because of love. We haven't mentioned love yet. When you really love somebody, um, you'll stick with them through thick and thin. And if you're in a toxic relationship, and say for instance it gets physical, um, and stuff happens, and then he turns around and say, "I love you, don't leave me, be with me," we have that guilt, like, oh, I don't want to leave this person the way they are, let me stick with them. um,
Right,
and that's what I have experienced too,
But
in a
love don't is not
situation.
supposed to hurt. Love's not supposed to be is not supposed to
No,
be
love is not
painful.
supposed love is not love is blind. We do crazy stuff in love. That's a
Yeah.
song. Love is
Hope
blind. We
is
do crazy
blind.
stuff. We'll
Yes.
stick through
Yep.
thick and thin because we love this person and we can't imagine our life without them, and we're afraid to leave. And especially when you have, I'm gonna say your husband or your boyfriend saying, "Please don't leave me. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." Like, come on,
Mhm.
y'all. Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh
sure
yeah.
a guy have told y'all that
Oh
before.
yeah.
Like, I need you by my side. You're my rock. And it's like, oh man, this, my husband or my boyfriend has been through a lot. Let me just stick by their side. Let me be understanding. Let me not be that woman that abandoned them, because they always have that ex that abandoned them. So it's like, let me not be that ex. Let me stick by their side.
But why are you taking it out on me though? Like why are you taking it out on me for whatever went left for you in whatever your
Brennan, there's
situation
a lot of
is?
reasons why they can take it out on you, but the whole
No,
point of this is,
no, that I'm very clear on, and I
oh
know that
yeah,
there's a
no.
multitude of reasons. When I say why are you taking it out on me, I'm pointing back to the whole love thing. If you love me, and you had a bad day, or you lost 20 grand in a deal that didn't go through, or in the stock market or whatever, and now you're upset and you're panicked about financial situations and financial things, etc., etc., I'm going to expect you to be able to express to me as an adult your disappointment, the fears that you have, what your concerns are. even accept that you have the right to be angry, but you can be angry and not take it out on the person that has your back, not take it out on the person that's closest to you. If you've had a bad day because certain things got effed up, but here you are calling me all out my name and cursing at me and putting me to the point of where I'm just it's shell shocked by the things that are coming out of your mouth. But then, like, 3 days later, you turn around and you're like, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean it. I don't know what happened. Yeah, that you gonna be like,
Some men just don't
okay,
know how to express themselves.
we're
That's
I
what
would
it
human. We're
is.
say,
human. We're
Control
human
their
beings.
I
feelings.
would say
Yeah,
that would
Yeah.
go back to behavior patterns. Just
exactly, Dominique.
Mm-hmm.
the repetition, like they keep repeating the same thing and same thing. That's why I said you have to
The
look
cycle.
within you. Exactly. But the only way to break it is how we were talking about last time, which was Natalie topic, generational curses. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You're the only one that can break that cycle. You're the only one.
So
If
with
you're
that being
so close,
said, I'm sorry, do y'all feel like people know that they're being toxic? Or do y'all think like they're just doing that because of the
no,
pattern
they
of what
don't
they're
know.
used to? It's like, do you know what like
Some of them don't know. No.
mm,
Yeah, I agree with that. I
They don't
agree
even
with
know they're
some of
repeating
them.
the same pattern that
right,
Yes.
happened
right.
to them.
Yeah, I agree with
Yes.
Dominique on that. I think sometimes they don't know. They don't know what they're doing. You know,
Okay, so
it's a common thing for them.
mm, mm-mm.
Exactly.
It comes with maturity too, because it's like the more you grow and mature, you would think that you're learning how to control your emotions, you're learning how to communicate, like you're just being the bigger person at the end of the day. So if you have two people being the bigger person and just always remembering like, look, it's not even worth it. And we're getting older. Let's just be the bigger person. Ain't no point in getting upset and doing all this extra stuff. It's like it would go a lot more smoothly. But
It and honestly, Natty, I would say it would, but you have to realize sometimes when you're toxic, you come from toxic family, and you still deal with toxic family. So
Yes.
there, some people can
Yes.
be
Exactly.
easily influenced by their family to stay the same
Yes.
way. So you have to remember
Mm-hmm.
people's backgrounds as well, and that's another thing. When you get involved with somebody, know their background, know
mm,
It
their
has a
family.
lot to do with
Exactly.
your childhood, and
It's a huge piece. That's a huge
you
piece.
have people who actually go from relationship to relationship because they still don't know that it's them the problem.
mm,
Exactly.
You see what I'm
Exactly. You
saying?
know, guys going like they're in a relationship for 3 months or 6 months, and next thing you know, they hop to the next woman, to the next woman. They're unhappy with themselves, but they don't realize they're the toxic ones, and then they blame it on their exes.
I
And
would
then
say
their toxicity is them telling you that you're the problem. Like you're the one that makes me this way, or you made me do this, and
mhm.
all that kind of nonsense.
and also ask yourself, is my lesson to love myself? You know what I'm saying? Because that's really our lesson in every relationship. Love yourself first, because that way you'll be able to love everyone else around you.
That's true. Love yourself first.
Yeah, that is true.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. It's what's interesting too is now these conversations about toxic relationships, toxic friendships. You can even expand it to toxic work environments. I mean, since the beginning of the Me Too movement, and then all these people coming forward about, what was going on, and then companies, had to then reevaluate and actually create, if it didn't exist, a policy with regards to sexual harassment or harassment of any kind. I think that's opened the eyes a bit, to the world, and really let us know that there are a lot of places that we are exposed to toxic people. And if you're dealing with a toxic environment at your job, you're dealing with a toxic environment in your relationship with your significant other or spouse, if you're dealing with, a toxic friendship, um, that's a lot. And there's a lot of us that have actually gone through, those situations, and had it coming at us from multiple levels. And we just are like, okay, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just going to do my best and try to, manage my way through it. But now, there's resources and there's outlets, and there's, more of an acceptance of, hey, I don't have to deal with this behavior. I don't have to put up with it. I deserve better. And I'm glad that that's the case. Because when you start thinking about how there just wasn't an openness, and there wasn't access to information, like there is
Okay.
now, you know it's making a tremendous amount of difference. And so then to turn around and then have these conversations and to do this podcast and talk about it, actually, when I went to post the new link of the live YouTube on Facebook, and I posted it back in Stacy's group because she had some people that really wanted to tune in, there were already people that had written really long situations talking about toxicity. So I think it's important that we, identify what the red flags are, realize and recognize when you've had enough, and, remind yourself in the times that you're not sure what to do, that, hey, I don't deserve this shit. Like, I don't deserve this.
Right. And relationships are challenging. I just want to say this last thing. They are a reflection of your inner self. So whatever situation you haven't grown from, like, it's gonna be reflected in pretty much in all your relationships. So just pay attention. That's it.
Exactly.
Anyone have anything else?
Mm, I guess that's it, ladies, unless someone did have something else.
No, that's it. I think we summed everything up.
Oh, let's also say when it's time to leave a relationship, I want to say when it becomes violent or abusive, then you definitely need to run.
I say before that because a lot of times you have things that happen prior to that as well that shows that tendency in a
Yeah, of
person.
course,
That's
yeah.
true, T. That's why I said when you
It's
start seeing the
always how
red
much,
flags in the
yeah,
beginning, that's when you need to be alert. When you see
Yeah,
the red
yeah.
flags, people are going to show themselves in the
I
beginning of a
mean,
relationship.
toxic ways in everyone, and whether we want to see it or not.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm
Absolutely. And that's
saying?
what I
So,
said, you have to, accept people for where they are because where I am now, but you have to get to that point where it's like, hey, this is who I am. Now, all my ways aren't great, but you have to start accepting people there and where they're at, and what I'm saying whether you're gonna deal with them or not because they are who they are.
true. All right, ladies.
All righty.
Have a good evening, everybody.
We'll see y'all next Wednesday.
All right.
All right. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.